All right, guys, I am back today, and we are going to put another wastegate on El Toro. I finally got a few minutes to work on this old girl, and then hopefully that'll fix our boost creep and boost control issues. Actually, I know it will, so no big deal. We're going to kind of do it ugly and easy, and just kind of the nature of that car. I mean, let's not forget that a few months ago it was sitting on a roller cart with nothing. But anyways, today's video is going to be super exciting because as soon as we get the wastegate on it, we're going to take it down to Bradenton Motorsports Park. All the guys are coming in town for Cleetus and Cars and the Freedom 500. So if you didn't follow along for the original build, we had a single Turbo Smart 45 millimeter wastegate. I'll show you how we have it rigged up here. It was originally to come off of the merge, crossover, whatever you want to call it, that is going into the turbo. Obviously that wasn't enough. We had a boost creep issue. So what we are going to do now is kind of big, ugly, and whatever. It's not always like the best way because this one comes into the merge. We're actually going to try just putting one down here. It'll fit really well on this bank of the exhaust. We'll have plenty of room for it. It'll be easy to add, and that should just push it over the edge, getting the rest of the pressure out. Normally, if I cared about a car a little bit more, I would weld that back up, seal it, move that one down below, and then put one there just so everything was kind of equal and right. But you know what? We're here. This should be a quick, easy fix. We're going to try it, and you guys will see the results. So I'm going to get to fabbing and welding. So basically, we're going to add one more 45 millimeter Hypergate Turbo Smart wastegate. That should be plenty of wastegate for this size of an engine. That was going to be right on the edge, and it was even for the 76, 75. But with the bigger turbo, you're moving a lot more air, so we need to be able to get more exhaust out. So that's how we arrived here at this point. So a couple things to think about when you are putting a wastegate under a vehicle. One of them being the path of the hot air that's being exhausted. There's a link back here that's a nylon bushing. You'll melt this boot off. It'll make the car steer all crazy. Obviously, you don't want to do anything when it shocks. You want to make sure that you can put it in a place where it's not pointing in an area where your back tire is going to run over it. Another thing is you don't want to melt your diaper. In addition to that, it needs to catch as much flow as possible so that it can do its job. And then obviously, you want to make sure you have adequate ground clearance so that the wastegate isn't rubbing or hitting on the ground. You'll see our original wastegate, we have it kind of pointed in an area where the tire will never run over it. It's getting down past this boot and the nylon bushing, so it's in a safe, nice spot. Preferably on anything fast, I always like to try and make them leave out the fender or out the hood or whatever, but sometimes you just don't have that ability. So just be cognizant of where all that stuff is going. So I'm going to start working on figuring out the perfect location and start coping a tube. Okay, with limited resources, I found this old tubing off of my Nova. So we're going to go ahead and reuse this. If you look at this and you look at the flow on here, I feel like if we kind of grind this so it's tipped like this, it'll accomplish everything we need to accomplish. It's going to basically catch the airflow going, and then this little 45 will direct the wastegate this way so we have plenty of clearance, and then we can just shoot the dump for that back down on the ground. So to do that, I will just basically take this belt sander, and it already has like it looks like it's about a 2.5 or 3 inch wheel on it. So the nice thing is you can use that to your advantage for shaping this. You can just kind of push it into it, and you can angle it this way or this way, and that'll give you the cope that is needed to match up to that. So I'll start on that, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, I'm talking literally 5 minutes later, we got this. The fit up is just about perfect. So it's going to catch all that exhaust, and then I'll just kind of drop the wastegate down, or the down pipe for the wastegate right back down. And we can actually rotate it up even a little bit more to keep it ground clearance at a maximum, but that's gonna work perfectly. And that's gonna get all the exhaust out we need to do what we're trying to accomplish. So I'll weld the flange on this side, and then I'll hold it up, mark it, cut that, and we'll start welding. What you guys want to not forget or look past, I know I just coped this in 5 minutes, which is great. Obviously, I need to deburr the inside of it. But the biggest thing is you want your fit up to be about perfect, because a wastegate is always something that's very prone to breaking off, so it needs the strongest weld possible. with that being said, you want to make sure you have no gaps. That way you have the best, strongest weld that you could possibly have. So that thing's not breaking a wastegate in the middle of Rocky Mountain Race Week, because I know Derek can fix things, but he doesn't want to have to do it. So that's kind of my theory. Even though you know how to fix it, nobody wants to be under the car in the middle of nowhere. So I have this all marked out. What I do is just hold it up and then trace around it. Because it's at an angle and everything, I'm just gonna take a hole saw and basically just get as close as I can. So what I'll do is kind of figure out where, typically the middle is the best place to attack it at. But with the material and the wobble of the hole saw, we'll just kind of clean that up after we cut it. And that should be about perfect. And that'll give us plenty of room to weld and have a nice strong joint. Wastegate, tube, and everything's back together. Now we're gonna go ahead and mock the wastegate up and then figure out the down pipe for it, the little down tube that comes off the outlet side. Put everything back together, plug it in, and head down south towards Bradenton. Okay guys, this is the thing a lot of people screw up. Don't forget to put the fire ring. See how it has a valve angle basically ground into it? Almost every wastegate on the market, because there's a valve and a seat, this needs to go in there. If you don't put this in there, the valve has nothing to sit on, seat on, and we get that call a lot, like, my car won't build any boost. Well, yeah, look at that gap in there. That's because it's basically exhausting all the boost. So put that in there, and then there's an alignment groove right here. And then you see basically you're gonna have to push against the spring pressure to get that flush and get that started. But if you forget that, you're gonna be in a world of hurts. We'll get that clamped on and then we'll figure out where we're going from here. In keeping with the theme of this build, I found this scrap that came from my Nova when we did the turbo kit. This came off the old turbo kit. Again, trying to keep everything away from everything. So I think we're gonna just use this. You know, we can kind of aim it however we want for ground clearance. I think that'll be about perfect. So I'll get this welded to the flange, maybe clean up that edge there a little bit, that's a little jagged, and go from there. One quick little tidbit also, I know this isn't your first wastegate install for a lot of people, but Tile and both Turbo Smart are both water cooled, and you can see that there's like a little water symbol like you'd have on your dash. So this is going to be the port that we hook up to the compressor cover. That's going to allow the wastegate valve to open easier when we get out of boost and there's not pressure on top. But make sure you have all your plugs in the right place, double check them, and then on the side that the wastegate is going to control, probably elementary, but make sure you have a plug in the hole that's not used, because it's all connected in passage. So you're either going to lose a full CO2 bottle in like 2 seconds or get no boost, or both. Make sure you don't lose those plugs that you're going to put right in there. All finished, just need to plumb the push to connect fittings in there. A little bit concerned that this is going to not have enough angle and put heat on the diaper, but maybe we'll tie that up a little bit tighter in the back. Just have to keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't melt the diaper. But other than that, I think everything's kind of out of the way. Shouldn't have any ground clearance issues. Definitely has about a perfect angle to pull the pressure out of that side. And hopefully now we can control boost. You know what? I think it's time to go 7. So hopefully we can get Derek to go right into the 7s. Maybe make like 1 or 2 easy passes and then see ya. So let's load it up and head back down south. All right, guys. So we're also working on the Nova. If you didn't watch TX2K, the thing just kept darting right off the line. The car's never done that before. It usually drives super straight. So there's definitely something off when we changed, and about the only things we changed were the tires, and then we neutraled the suspension like we always do, so that shouldn't be it. The weight on the front shouldn't make it, the way it was driving right, it was just literally picking up tires and driving right. So it made us suspect the tires. So I measured them, and they measured off from side to side, almost 1/4 of an inch. If you actually like wrap a tape around it, and then if you hold a flat edge with them square, which isn't the best way to do it. One was a little bit taller than the other, but sometimes, you know, that's really dependent on how the wheel is, each tire is, you know, angled, and it's hard to like square them up. So the third trick I did, you take and put a line on the ground right here, lay out yourself a piece of tape, and then you just basically put the tire right over the top of it and make a Sharpie there. And then you roll the first tire and then mark where that line comes all the way down. And then you grab the second tire, put a piece of tape on it, put your first line, and then you just see how far the rollout difference is between the two. The driver's side was probably like still about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm guessing, you know, if you do the math, my measurements with the tape measure probably aren't super accurate, but that should be pretty close. So now I just got to figure out if that's enough to make it go that hard right. The other thing you want to do when you're checking this stuff is to check the tire pressure to make sure the same. Obviously, if one's inflated more than the other, it's going to be taller or shorter. So before I do a final call, I'm going to check that tire pressure. I just wanted to show you guys what I was doing here. So here's a better illustration. So that thing you can see is dead square on there. We're going to roll it all the way down here. Trying to keep it as straight as possible, which for illustrative purposes on the video, I'm not doing that great a job. That's a little extreme because I think I wobbled all over the place, but that'll show you. So the other tire hit that line right here. This one is right here. So I'll try it again and I'll show you guys as a real result. So that's the real result. It's hard to hold the camera and do it at once, but that's probably not enough to actually make it dart right, which makes me think it's time to go back to the suspension and just kind of dig through everything, make sure, you know, I don't have like a brake hanging up, which I don't think I do. Everything seems to be smooth and spinning freely. Make sure I don't have something broken under there. We took a quick look at TX2K and we thought we found what was wrong, but now it's probably time to take everything apart and make sure bushings aren't worn out or broken. Make sure there's nothing that we can't see broken, and you know, because to move that extremely has got to be something broken, unless I've lost my mind. So because that rollout really wasn't substantial enough, in my opinion, to make the car dart hard like it was, there's always a tolerance in manufacturing, and Mickey Thompson's usually really on top of things. I'm just gonna zero everything else back out. So before I went to TX2K, I had an alignment done on the car. I had adjusted the anti-roll bar, put new tires on. I was way off base and changed a bunch of things, so I'm gonna zero everything back out like I should have at Texas 2K, and then just basically start from scratch. And I think I was chasing my tail and pushing myself there through adjustments I was making. So sometimes you just gotta start back at square one. So let's head to the track. So the battery was dead yesterday, so we're gonna go ahead and see if she starts up. God, this car is so quiet. I really love this Haltech dash, by the way. It's called an IC7. This thing is super clean. I love the display. I love the fact that it has buttons, so you don't have to open a laptop to change some stuff if you want. But it's really cool. You kind of go between things, change upper and lower limits, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm not even gonna have to check for leaks. Wow, that really didn't go as planned. Well, ethanol is a little cold-blooded. She could use a little tune work on the startup. But anyways, not really worried about the any leaks or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and do a final check through on everything and get it ready to go to Bradenton. So a few people have asked us if we have a strutted wing on this, which is like, you know, we're known for our strutless wing now. We don't use the struts to hold the wing up. It's that the trunk latch doesn't work, so that holds the wing and the trunk down. That's the type of quality we're. All right, hopefully she'll spool up like she needs to. Man, the turbine housing got rusty. We left it outside last night. Lit. It just builds character. You got the CO2 on? CO2 on. Yeah, in reverse. All Alright guys, so that's not a good sign. When the car backs up on a trans brake, there's usually something wrong with the transmission, so we're going to check the fluid level, make sure it's not low. She doesn't get a lot of care and maintenance, and if that's not it, then we need to take a look at the transmissions. Jack Stand's transmission service coming in hot.
Oh, band adjustment at the racetrack, no big deal.
This guy can do it all. He can do wheelies, he can adjust bands. Good thing we got him here, Andy. So did you work your wizardry on this sucker?
It did.
Work now, Andy?
I think so. Good enough to make a pass.
It held.
With a little bit of brake.
We had a reverse issue. It was probably your tune.
That's probably what it was.
I guarantee it was your tune, dude.
It was like, your fault. Yeah, it's either gonna wheelie or back up really fast.
It was 100% your fault. Tuner's always to blame.
Always.
Right, Ty?
It's pretty true.
Did you see my wastegate on there?
I know, I was looking, I'm like, there's no other wastegate here. It's
Oh,
on the
yeah.
other side.
What we got?
What's loaded in this thing?
You'd have to ask him. It's probably like 20 some PSI. I mean, it's okay, but with what I had, with what I had to work with.
Doesn't have to be pretty.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah, it does. If it's coming out of McFarland Fab, it's got to be pretty.
It's a 50-50. We flip a coin, and if it's heads, we do pretty stuff, and if it's tails, it goes through the hood.
Or if you run out of time, it just
Or
has to
time.
work.
Yeah.
I suppose before we race it, we should probably unload all the storage items that we got in here.
Oh, that? You can leave that in there.
You want it for the front of the Nova, dude?
I might need it full of lead. I'll put lead in anything that's trapped in my car.
I know, I've seen it. What was wrong with it? You had the band was just out of adjustment?
Yeah, so I just adjusted the band a little bit tighter. It seems to be holding better. So it was on the looser side. Usually I go to 3.5, turns out for full tight, and it was around like 4 1/4. So it probably just blazed the band over last time out, gave it a little tighten up.
When we were Christmas tree racing, dude, that was the last time out.
Had a lot of load on her with that Christmas tree,
Yeah.
like, up in the air.
Yeah, just a big old windscreen.
Yeah, but yeah, it's working, so we're good.
Good deal. So last time we had this on the dyno, it was RPM by boost, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you didn't set it up, it just didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's set for like no boost at all.
I mean, it'll still probably go pretty fast.
Hey, there we go. I can see you now.
I bet this thing on 7 pounds will still roll.
Yeah, it should go fast. I guess we're gonna find out. Oh, we gotta turn this here aside.
So maybe we should turn it down to like 15. Just get a good
Turn it down
baseline.
a little bit and see if it like holds it. It doesn't creep, but then we'll go from
So
there.
were you just figure you haven't welded anything in a while, so you just start grabbing a bunch of pieces for that dump tube?
I didn't use one nice piece of pipe for the whole thing, dude. It's all recycled
I
stuff from the
noticed
Nova.
it's like 4 pieces of pipe
I just
to
like
make
went to
dump
the scrap bin tie and I was like, oh, this will work here. So I just like kind of ground it, made it fit, and then I'm like,
it flat
the
back,
down
yeah.
pipe, I'm like, yeah, we're not using any. I'm leaving all this stuff
I
behind.
think everything I've ever done on my personal cars has been that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, scrap bin?
But it laid out all right though.
It looks good.
I
down in
mean,
the center, and all that
Yep.
slash cut on there.
yep. That was it took really nothing to do it. So the hardest thing was holding the pipe up to tack it up. So I didn't take the crossover off to weld it. So.
Yeah, that's fine. Someone's stealing your ride, and it ain't me.
Oh no. It's alright, it's Franco, he's a Nova guy. He stole my car, dude! Thing looks good driving with the new stance on it.
Looks.
Alright guys, this is Eldoro's first pass since the Christmas tree race. So hopefully it'll go a little faster without a Christmas tree on top of it. Plus, we put a new turbo on it, so we'll see. See what Andy can do here. Old Andy's driving it. He looks right at home in that old Mustang. Alright guys. See what she does here. Apparently the band didn't hold. We got a bigger problem. Tough break for the Mustang.
Might need a band.
It might need a band.
Might need a band.
We may have smoked it. We thought we had it, but
Yeah, might be tough.
tough
And well,
break.
it did do that funny stuff last time out on the break.
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah,
So,
they like coughed and like belt fell
Yeah.
over. Yep. Tough break. A lot of build up for not much going on, dude. That's Travis Pastrana racing Old Ruby there. Cleaners on the outside looking in. See what his first pass down the drag strip is all about. Spicy. All right, second try here. Dude's reckless. No, it didn't come.
He needs to stick to 2 wheels, maybe. He's in there wheeling that thing, dude.
Andy, I think Nate forgot to put first gear back in the tune-up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he did the first gear delete, and it did not like it.
He could have told you it had to start in second.
Would have made the trans brake a little bit difficult.
So what happened? You went up there, you hit the trans brake, and it just went in reverse, right?
Yeah, well, as soon as I hit the trans brake and gave it a little bit of gas, the car started to back up. So I was hoping that I could maybe hold it with the foot brake and try to at least salvage some kind of a pass or at least get some kind of data. But as soon as I nailed the gas in first gear, it went to the moon and didn't go anywhere. So.
Dude, as flawless as this thing worked when we first put it together in 8 days, it sure fights us a lot now. That
Yeah,
it's like,
it's angry now. Like
I feel like we've given it a lot of love and it's still fighting us.
I know.
Man.
It's a hard fix, but an easy fix. We'll get it fixed and get it back out.
Yeah, well, hopefully Nova does us well tonight. We'll give it a shot. She made her rip, but I went to pull away and it doesn't want to run. So I'm not sure if like a wire got loose or something like that or what happened, but we'll pull it back to the pits and find out. I still don't know what it ran, but we'll give her a check out, see what's going on with it. All right, guys, so we put a soft tune-up in it because we weren't sure how the track was going to be. It went a 120 60 foot. Don't you worry about that reaction time. 477 and 732 at 189, so it was on a decent little rip. It seemed like it went a little straighter, but by the video it kind of drifted right still, but I don't think it was nearly as violent. But it's hard to say because without, you know, if you turn it up, it's going to do everything more extreme. So turn down, it seemed a little bit more tame, but it still moved to the right a little bit. So I kind of neutraled everything out hoping it would just be a little less right, which I think it was. But now the car won't start, so we're pretty much done for the night. We're gonna take it home, figure out what's wrong with it. The track's about to close, and go from there. But that's how cars are, guys. It's not always fun and games and beautiful. When you want to keep going faster, a lot of times they fight you. So it just makes it sweeter when you win. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Andy, we had a suck night, dude.
It was, we're off the line for drag racing.
One bass each. Both cars broke. Yeah. Going home.
You'll have those.
You'll have them big jobs. All right, we're headed out of here. Tail between our legs, we're rolling.